there are moments when silence says more than 1,000 words. For years, Taehyung and Jungkook have shared a bond that goes beyond what fans can see on stage, a connection built through laughter, pain, and countless memories behind the spotlight. But recently, something changed. During a quiet moment, Taehyung finally spoke, not as V of BTS, but as Kim Taehyung, the person behind the fame. His words about Jungkook weren't scripted. They weren't part of a show, they came from the heart. He said, "There were times when I didn't know how to say it, but Jungkook has always been someone who understands me, even when I say nothing." In that single sentence, the world stopped for a second. Fans could feel the raw emotion, the years of shared struggle and silent support between the two youngest members of BTS Army around the world couldn't hold back their tears, because it wasn't just friendship they saw. It was loyalty, love, and a bond that time itself could never break. Behind every smile on stage, there's a story untold. Behind every playful moment, there's a truth that's deeper than words. And Taehyung finally let that truth slip through his heart. He couldn't hide it anymore. And maybe he didn't want to. Because sometimes love between brothers doesn't need a label. It just needs a moment of honesty. And this was that moment. There are moments in life when even the brightest smiles hide the deepest emotions. And for BTS's Kim Taehyung, known to the world as V, that moment has finally come. For years, fans have admired the friendship between Taehyung and Jungkook, the two youngest members of BTS. Their bond, their laughter, their little glances during performances all became legendary among armies. But behind the laughter, there was a silence filled with unspoken words, with emotions that only those two could understand. Recently, Taehyung broke that silence, not in a loud confession, not in a press conference, but in a quiet, heartfelt moment where his words slipped out like a whisper, changing everything we thought we knew. He said something simple, something honest, but it carried the weight of years. He said, "Jungkook has always been there for me, even when I couldn't explain what I was feeling." And just like that, the world listened. Fans around the globe felt their hearts tighten, because in that moment, Taehyung wasn't an idol, he wasn't performing, he was just human. Their story began long before fame, two boys chasing the same dream, two souls thrown into the chaos of the K-pop world, cameras, lights, endless training, exhaustion, and pressure. But amidst that storm, they found each other. Jungkook, the youngest, always looked up to Taehyung, not just as a hyung, but as someone who made the world feel lighter. And Taehyung? He saw in Jungkook a reflection of innocence and courage, someone who reminded him that even in the hardest days, there's always warmth. From their earliest days in the dorms to the sleepless nights before debut, they shared everything: food, laughter, fears, and tears. There were moments when they argued, moments when distance grew between them, but real bonds don't break. They bend and heal stronger. As BTS grew bigger, their friendship had to evolve under the public eye. People started labeling, judging, twisting their every interaction. Sometimes, that pressure forced them to step back, to protect themselves. But the bond, it never went away. Years later, as fame reached heights no one could imagine, the boys from Busan and Daegu had become men, global icons. But even then, when the world screamed their names, their connection remained quiet, simple and real. Taehyung once said, "Sometimes, it's the people who stay silent beside you that help you the most." And fans knew he was talking about Jungkook. When Taehyung faced hard times, it was Jungkook who stood quietly by his side. No cameras, no fanfare, just presence. When Jungkook doubted himself, Taehyung's laughter reminded him that music was still joy, not pressure. Behind the stage lights and roaring crowds, there were nights of self-doubt, tears, and exhaustion. But those two, they kept each other grounded, and then came that one moment. During an interview, Taehyung was asked about what he valued most in his journey. He paused. He smiled. That soft, almost trembling smile fans know so well. Then he said quietly, "Jungkook is someone who understands me without words. He's like a mirror of my soul." The interviewer stayed silent. The room went still, because that wasn't just friendship. That was brotherhood, pure, deep, and timeless. Armies flooded the internet with reactions. Clips of Taehyung's words spread like wildfire across social media. Fans cried, laughed, reminisced, remembering every look, every touch, every moment those two shared on stage. Some fans wrote, "This is why BTS is different. Their love for each other is real, not scripted." Others said, "Taehyung finally said what we all felt, that Jungkook means more than words can ever say." In the fandom's memory, there are countless little stories that now make sense. That moment when Jungkook quietly comforted Taehyung backstage after a concert. That time they sat side by side, saying nothing, yet smiling like the world was theirs. That night when Jungkook sang softly, and Taehyung's eyes glistened under the lights. Those weren't just fan service. Those were fragments of real emotion, stitched together by years of shared dreams and silent care. And now, through his words, Taehyung confirmed what ARMY always felt, that their connection runs deeper than fame, deeper than music, deeper than time. Taehyung's message wasn't dramatic. It wasn't loud. It was quiet, but powerful, because it reminded everyone that even the strongest people need someone who truly sees them. Maybe that's why ARMY cried, because behind the perfection, behind the global stage, there's a boy who just wanted to be understood, and another who always understood him. Taehyung and Jungkook are not just members of a band. They are a story about friendship that survives fame, about love that doesn't need to be spoken, about two souls walking side by side through the chaos of the world. As the video of his words spread, fans noticed something else. Taehyung's voice was softer than usual, like he was holding back tears, and Jungkook's reaction, subtle but full of emotion, spoke volumes. When asked later about Taehyung, Jungkook simply smiled and said, "He's someone I'll always protect, no matter what happens." Those two sentences became a storm. Fans said, "We're not crying." "You are." And maybe they were right, because it's rare to witness something so pure in a world full of noise. Today, the story of Taehyung and Jungkook continues, not as a fairy tale, but as reality. They still laugh, they still tease each other, they still share that silent understanding that only true brothers can have. And maybe that's what makes BTS's bond so powerful, because it's built on truth. It's not perfect, but it's real. As Taehyung once said, "Real love is when you don't have to explain yourself. The other person just feels it." And that's exactly what he and Jungkook share. In the end, Taehyung couldn't hide it anymore, not because it was a secret, but because it was too beautiful to keep silent. His words weren't meant to shock. They were meant to heal. To remind the world that even the biggest stars have hearts that beat the same as ours. And for ARMY, it was a moment to remember. A reminder that behind every stage, behind every camera flash, behind every smile, there's a story of friendship that will never fade. So when Taehyung said, "He understands me without words," he wasn't just talking about Jungkook. He was reminding all of us that love, in its purest form, doesn't always need to be spoken. This is the story of Taehyung and Jungkook, a story of silence, truth, and unspoken love. And though the world may keep spinning, one thing will never change. In honor of their old behind-the-scenes videos, there was a moment that fans keep returning to. Taehyung was sitting alone, looking exhausted. Jungkook came over, said nothing, just sat beside him. They didn't speak. They didn't need to. It was that kind of silence that speaks louder than words, the kind that says, "I'm here. You're not alone." And maybe that's what Taehyung meant all along, that Jungkook wasn't just his teammate or his dongsaeng. He was his home, the constant reminder that even in chaos, someone understood him. When asked later about his relationship with Taehyung, Jungkook once said, "We grew up together. We've seen each other's best and worst. He's like family now." That word, family, carried a weight that fans could feel. Because BTS was never just a group formed by a company. They became a family forged in fire, built on nights of doubt, laughter, and endless rehearsals. Taehyung and Jungkook's bond became one of the most cherished parts of that. Family, a quiet strength holding them together through the years of fame and fear. And even when fans misinterpreted their distance, when rumors and speculations filled timelines, those who looked deeper saw the truth. When people care deeply, they step back, not because they've grown apart, but because they're protecting something real. Taehyung once hinted at that too. He said, "Some Thai."